Hey up, it's that old Yorkshire geek here, and it's Friday, which means Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 3, Assimilation, with the emphasis on immolation. No, I'm just kidding. This is easily by far the worst episode of the season so far. We're only 3 episodes in. I didn't hate episodes 1 and 2. I wasn't very keen on this one. So anyway, we'll crack on. We'll get right into it. I've got it up on my Amazon Prime with subtitles, so you won't hear it. So we'll just go along. I've no notes, so we'll just go along and see what happens. Right, we start off. We've got the recap. Unknown entity. Blah blah blah. Borg Queen talking. What else? The Borg ship comes through the anomaly. They're like anomalies, don't they? And I've got a theory about who this Borg Queen is now. We'll see what happens later on in the episode, and I'll tell you my theory. A lot of people are saying it's going to be Picard's mum. I don't think it is. I think the mechanists think it's going to be Picard's mum, but I think it's going to be somebody else. There's Q, bing, young Q, old Q. And go on, get on with it. Let's get on with the story. Blah, blah. Q went back in time. Sent us back in time, and there's all the mirror universe, but without the goatees. I know Spock, only Spock had a goatee. I know. Anyway, the Borg Queen can tell them where to go back in time to 2024. I've got a theory about how this is going to turn out later on. I will come to that later, obviously. So they've got to go make temporal fissure. That's how he says it, fissure. And obviously they ain't got Spock, because Kirk did it. But they ain't got Spock, they've got a Borg Queen. They've also got a 7 of 9. And Annika Hansen, who's still got all her cognitive abilities. I'm sure she could have worked out the equations. Oh, are you? There's Elnor. Right, I'm going to... Right, we're cracking on now. Right, it's going to carry on now. The Magistrate and his henchmen are there, holding everybody at gunpoint. Elnor's being shot. And you'll see how this is rather bizarre in a minute. It seems to be the only gun that was set not to disintegrate. Throw theirs on the ground. Look, Raffi wants to go help Elnor, who's hurt. And he's saying, I thought a safe galaxy was a human galaxy. Is wondering what's going on. I say, Elnor hurt. And 7, Annika, tries to, play the role, but he don't believe her, so he gives her a slap. Are you ready? In a minute. Here's Agnes plugging the Borg Queen in. Even more, we have another thing later on with the Borg that I think, I'm like, what? Don't they understand how the Borg work? Obviously not. Right, he's saying, tell me what's my full name. Obviously she doesn't know. Bang. What a nasty man. He hits a woman. Only Raffi can help. Obviously they're girlfriends, aren't they? Right. Disarmed. Oh. Vaporised him. Bang. Oh, vaporised him. It was, murder. Here we go. Another gun. There we go. He's vaporised. How come only the Magistrate's gun was the one set not to vaporise? How bizarre. Anyway. I thought 7 of 9 were fed up murdering people. Well, she wasn't fed up then, was she? Couldn't they just have stunned them? Oh. Couldn't they just have stunned them? No, because they murder people in modern Star Trek, because Alex Kurtzman has no idea what Star Trek's all about. The actors should know better. They should be telling him, they should be telling the directors. By the way, this episode was directed by Leah Thompson. You'll see in a minute when the credits roll. The same Leah Thompson who played Lorraine McFly in Back to the Future. She's a director now. I didn't know that until I looked it up. Anyway, they're sticking some medical supplies on Elnor. Look, he's hurt from this non-disintegrating phaser. Or whatever it is, disruptor, whatever they have in this timeline. By the way, they've been chased by Confederation starships, which look eerily similar to normal ones. If the timeline's been changed, why is everything the same? Why are the ships the same as what we've got in, the normal timeline? I think things that have changed, totally, wouldn't you? You'd have thought so. But it didn't in the Mirror Universe either, did it? So, whatever. It's just a story. You've got to have a bit of suspension of disbelief, but it still, doesn't make it good. Look, the Borg Queen, look, she knows stuff's happening. And she's happy about it. This is her big chance. Anyway, what happens is what I said happens in the last episode. Basically, the Borg Queen, you'll see it in a minute, she basically assimilates the Lacerena. God, it's a horrible ship. They're proper starships, them. But the Lacerena isn't. It's not a starship. It's like a bloody... Well, it's like the Klingons had described a garbage scow, innit? That's what it is. Anyway, here comes the Borg Queen scuttling about. Todd Browning's Freak style. Are you ready? Here she comes. There we go. She's well endowed, isn't she? I'm liking this Borg Queen. Just for a couple of reasons. I might have to draw her. She's been in Star Trek before, apparently. I think in Enterprise, the actress. I forgot her name again. I'm sorry. No, it's gone. There she goes. Look. There, green. Assimilate. Neutralising threats. Didn't take long, this, did it? This assimilation. Bang, she's straight in, taking over the ship, altering the photon torpedoes. Bang. I don't know if they're destroyed or just just crippled. I don't know. It doesn't show us. If they're destroyed, that's another, several hundred at least people murdered just doing the jobs. I keep using my mouse and sorry. I know you can't see this because but anyway, right, so she's doing the calculations to go to slingshot around the sun at warp, which I've never really understood. Because at warp speed, you'd be past the sun and halfway across the solar system, wouldn't you? Never mind just slingshotting, but anyway. That's why they need super-duper calculations. Hang on, she jumped us to warp. That don't look very warpish to me. There she is. That's still not warp, is it really? I mean, look at that. It's not warp. They've entered hyperspace. That's what I'm saying. Because it's not Star Trek. It's Star Trek-ish. Star Trek by name only, with some of the same characters. In the same way that, I don't know, Star Trek Renegades, that fan film, that were more Star Trek than this. And it's not even allowed to be called Star Trek now, is it? They had to change everything because of CBS. Anyway, there they go. They're going in the time warp now. I thought they were going to do, like Star Trek 4 with the whales going all weird. But no, things reverse. A tear goes back up somebody's cheek. I think it's Agnes's. Yeah, it's a tear goes back up. I've seen this before somewhere. This effect where they're doing that, and I can't remember where I've seen it. It might have been in another Star Trek, another Kurtzman trick. Right, credits. Right, so anyway, we'll just talk amongst ourselves while the credits roll. Yeah, later on, I'm going to spoil it. What the heck? Later on, what's her face? I forgot her name already. Agnes Gerati. Basically wants to be assimilated to save the Borg Queen. When they get through this time warp, she's kind of drained, I suppose you could say, and she's unresponsive. She's kind of in a coma, I suppose. And somehow Agnes knows that if she allows herself to be assimilated, she can go in and repair the Queen, so the Queen can come back online, wake up, and get the power back to the ship and stuff, and get it back up and running. But so Picard sticks a simulation tubule in Agnes's neck. So, and obviously then, millions, I suppose, of Borg nanites will go into Gerardi's body, Agnes's body, and start assimilating her. And Picard's like monitoring this on a pad. But how does Agnes know how to fix the Queen? It all goes all kind of stupid and it won't work like that. It wouldn't work like that at all. Anyway, we're coming up now. Anyway, we're getting to the end of the credits. We'll cover this again later, but I just wanted to get that off my chest. That's the thing. That's the big thing in this episode that annoys me more than anything. And there's a lot of stuff that is a bit annoying in this episode. Based upon Star Trek, loosely based upon Star Trek: The Next Generation. There we go. Directed by Leah Thompson, Lorraine McFly, and the girlfriend of Howard the Duck. There we go. Come out of warp. Earth's a bit close to the sun there, isn't it? Jesus Christ. JJ Trek. That's what it is. It's JJ Trek influence. There's no idea about distances and how space works. And these new Star Trek producers and writers have no idea how space works. Anyway, they don't know if they're back in time, but Picard says, I see no moon colony. Obviously, he'd see lights, I suppose. There's 50 million people living there, said Riker, didn't he, in First Contact. Anyway, look, they're over Earth now. Anyway, they say there's basically pollutants in the atmosphere, so they know that they're in the early 21st century. But then suddenly all power goes, oh, crikey, no power, oh, they're falling into the atmosphere. Shields are fried. Controls are offline. They're caught in Earth's gravity. Can't stop her. Haven't they got thrusters or whatever? Never mind. Anyway, they're plummeting into the Earth's atmosphere. Supposedly, they're heading towards Los Angeles. It says it in a minute. They're diverting emergency backup power. I can trigger her recovery protocols. And they might get back. So they're getting some control back now. So they can control it a bit now. And they're saying that they could have they're not going to land, they're going to crash. And then they're saying that they're going to crash in Los Angeles, but they can't crash there because it's too populated. So basically, they must be on the way to Los Angeles. But then suddenly, Picard takes control, and he crashes them home. Which turns out to be Chateau Picard in France, which is like the other side of the world from Los Angeles Flaming Lees. And this looks awful. This crash into the vineyard. Look at that. And it's at night time. I suppose it would be, because they go to Los Angeles and that's at daytime. So it's opposite side of the world. So it's night time in France. Is Chateau Picard, abandoned in the 21st century? You tell me. There's no lights on, is there? Are they all asleep? Are they all asleep? A spaceship crashing through their vineyard didn't wake anybody up. Obviously not. Because it's France. And they're all inside eating onion soup. Oh, Raffi's fed up because Elnor's dying. The biobed's the only thing keeping him awake. And so the power's going down because the Borg Queen's offline. Hey, so just a swig of pop. I might burp in a minute. Oh, a little bit of green blood coming out. It's fair enough. They got that right. Gerard is trying to get power back online, but the Queen's diverting power to herself to save her own life. Rios here in a minute wants to kill the Borg Queen, but they said they can't because obviously they need her to get back to the 25th century, don't they? To go back in time warp. I bet you all, in the end, they don't need her and Q sends them back. I bet it does in last episode or whenever. I bet Q sends them back. Bet it does. Or another Q sends them back. Or another Borg Queen sends them back. We'll see. Anyway, Elnar's basically dying here. It's bleeding out, I suppose. Internal injuries, or from whatever that phaser / disruptor was. It's obviously it's bugging him up and he's dying. Why didn't it disintegrate him? Why were all the other phasers set to disintegrate? Don't know. Because it's stupid. There, he's dead. And Raffi's not happy. Look, she's not happy. Is Raffi? She's not a happy Raffi. Because Elnor's gone to I don't know what the Romulan is it Shakari? The Romulan heaven. No, that's Vulcan, isn't it? Q shoot. No, I can't remember. It was in Star Trek 5, wasn't it? The Romulan heaven, what they called it. I can't remember. Anyway, so she stuffs him in a body bag, sticks him in a storage thing, or is it I don't know what it is, a freezer. He'll come back. He'll be all right. They'll sort him out. He's not dead. Nobody's dead. Nobody's really gone in science fiction. Hey. Look, they're all fed up. They're all fed up. And now Raffi comes and chews out Picard, because this isn't Next Generation Picard. This is I think Patrick Stewart's got mixed up between Picard and Charles Xavier from Logan. Anyway, he's trying to take charge, but she just chews him out, tells him what a crap leader he is, and now they've got to sort it out to save Elnor, because she asks Agnes if Elnor can be saved, if they correct the timeline, will Elnor, be saved? And she don't know, which is fair enough, I suppose. But you'd think he probably would. If they put everything back to normal, you'd think he'd be all right. But I don't know. I suppose it depends when they send them back to the future. 1.21 gigawatts. That's all they need, isn't it? That's all they need. Why can't they channel a bolt of lightning into the warp core? A what? A bolt of lightning! Why has all of history been changed? Oh, she's saying it's his fault. Him and Q have been playing these games for decades. So it's all Picard's fault, that he didn't stop the... as Gary from Nerdrotic says, the omnipotent being... Because Q's basically a god, isn't he? Basically. So he's just been playing with Picard. Picard can't do anything about it. He's just got to put up with Q, hasn't he? Or, try and persuade Q not to kill everybody. Or blink everybody out of existence. And he hasn't done too bad. Maybe if he were like Cisco, he'd have just punched Q. And Q would have left him alone, because Q's never been back to Deep Space Nine, has he? Anyway, they're talking about that to go and find this individual called the Watcher. I've suggested that could be Guinan, or it could be Soji. Somehow, I don't know how she'd be there, because she's a robot made by data. Made by data, sort of. Well, cloned from a piece of data. So how would she be back there? But she hasn't been in it since episode 1, as she says. I'm sure she'll be back. Who else could it be? There's only Guinan, really, isn't there? But it'd have to be young Guinan. So with the de-age, Whoopi Goldberg, I don't know. So I don't think it's going to be Guinan. It should be, but I don't think it will be. Or it could be somebody new. We'll see. It'll probably be Picard's mum somehow travel back, or a relative of Picard. Or it's this Brent Spiner character. Is it Oryx? Not Oryx Sung. That was in Enterprise, wasn't it? Whatever the 21st century Sung is. It could be him, couldn't it? And he's there somehow. And maybe he's a future version of Sung that's come back in time, with modern technology. Because they're saying he's probably an alien with using, technology that's not available to 21st century humans. Anyway, they're saying they've got to go and they can't be caught, they can't be arrested, they can't go to hospital. If they scan them, they'll find their vaccination chips. And all the other stuff that they've got implanted in them. Because implants are good. Vaccination chips. That's what they're heading towards. Get your tinfoil hats on, people. David Icke was right. I'm laughing, but I'm not really. I'm crying inside. Anyway, they've got to find this Watcher. Rios and Seven and Raffi are going. And meanwhile, Picard and Agnes are staying on board to try and sort out the Borg Queen. And Elnor's dead. What is he? She's trying. Stuff's happening in the Borg Queen's brain. She's trying to speak, but obviously she's used to being in a collective and nobody's replying to her. And she can't. So she can't. She's basically talking to herself inside her mind. She's a collective of one. And this is where Agnes has this idea that she wants to be assimilated so that she can talk to the Borg Queen and repair her from within. Don't know how. Don't know how. Here we go with all the plug and play Borg. But it's got little stickers on saying Universal P&P all over Borg equipment. Anyway, Picard saying he felt an intense euphoria when he was assimilated. He had no sense of his own existence, just her. So he was basically, subsumed by the Borg. Which isn't true, really, because when he was being assimilated, he cried, didn't he, in Best of Both Worlds? A little tear ran down his throat. And I'm sure he said that he knew what was going on, but he just couldn't do anything about it. A bit like when you're taken over by a Goa'uld in Stargate. Anyway, so she's saying she's gonna have to fix her from within. So Picard's not happy, saying no, you can't do that. Picard can't do it because she'd recognise him because he was Locutus. But it don't matter because he's not that Picard, is he? He's a different Picard. He's a robot. He's Robo Picard. He has no Borg technology inside him whatsoever. And neither a 7 of 9 this time. They still keep calling her 7, though. Not calling her Annika, even though she's not a Borg in this timeline. Anyway, they're saying they've got to go to Los Angeles and they've got to go to the top of this building. It's the highest building in Los Angeles or something, so they can do a scan for this subspace signal that'll take them to the Watcher. So they've got to find some clothes that'll blend in. So they find some, suitable clothing. Yeah, sorry. I'm just checking, making sure I was still recording. Yes, I am. If you heard any mouse clicks. Do I look like a fascist bastard? Fascist? No, bastard. And he says, touche. Bit of banter there. Bit of sweary banter. This has been no F-bombs, has there? Not that I've noticed yet. In this season. Unless I've missed it. Which is entirely possible, because I tend to phase out a bit sometimes of Kurtzman Trek. But she's looking at herself. She's got no implants. It must feel weird to her because she's been Borg for, was it 18 years? Well, longer than that now, isn't it? But 18 years when she was on Voyager, wasn't it? 30 odd years, 40 years, call it. She's been a Borg. Sorry if you heard that, my stomach gurgling. I haven't had my lunch yet. I had a sandwich this morning, and then I've been shopping. This is how interesting this episode is, I'm telling you my day. Been shopping, went for some bread and eggs, and ended up spending £109. Ended up coming back with a PlayStation 5 game and loads of shopping. Anyway, I digress as usual. Right, Gerard is talking him into letting her be assimilated, and she's saying that she'll be alright as long as Picard keeps an eye on her. And then when she's 100% fixed her, he can pull her out. Don't know how. How can you pull out millions of Borg nanoprobes? I have no idea. But that's what happens. If I start to slip away, pull the tubule out, the whole procedure shuts down. I'm not sure that's exactly how Borg assimilation works. A simulation tubule goes in, nanoprobes are injected, the tubule comes out, you've still got the nanoprobes inside, and they immediately start replicating themselves and they take over your systems. That's what Borg nanoprobes do. I'm getting cross because I hate it. I'm starting to hate it again. Remember I said that I quite liked season 1, and then I didn't like the last episode, and then I've persuaded myself I didn't like any of season 1. I'm getting like that now with this season 2. Anyway, I'm going to get as close to Markridge Tower as they can with the transporter. I don't know how they're transporting from France to Los Angeles, because you'd think, if in a normal 25th century situation, beaming from one point on the planet to another, they'd do it through some sort of relay station, wouldn't they? They wouldn't beam you through 6,000 miles of Earth, because they're always saying that there aren't the problems with that sort of thing, because you can't beam through that much solid rock and magma and all that, and geomagnetic fields. There we go. Anyway, stuck the tubule in, and she's immediately starting to be assimilated from within. I could have shown some, a bit of around the the tubule, or maybe some lines appearing on her face as you see the nano probes entering her body. But no, because we've got to believe that she's not that assimilated, even though it don't work like that. Don't work like that. Anyway, she's singing now, apparently. She's singing. Oh, then we've got some music. Oh, no, yeah. No, she's not singing. We're hearing that. All the leaves are grey. Da, 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 da. California Dreaming, that one, because Kurtzman Trek is obsessed with 20th and 21st century music for some reason, for a show set in the 23rd and 24th, 25th and 32nd centuries. No Klingon opera or Act 2 and Melota. Anyway, Seven's beamed straight in front of her, a young Asian-looking girl who asks if she's a superhero, and she just kind of says yes. Rios beams into mid-air, and immediately, in real life, he'd be dead. Or pretty much. Pretty much dead. He just bashed his head on a fire escape. Probably lost some teeth. And there we go. Now he's bleeding on the sidewalk. Here's LA. No, a good Samaritans brought him into this. Stomach gurgling. Brought him into this clinic, which is it's basically a clinic for illegal immigrants. Basically, that's what it is. That's what it is. So she's not going to charge him. Anyway, he's dropped his communicator because he's an idiot. Why don't you keep it in his pocket? Don't they have zipped pockets? Thought I told you to start burping. Anyway, Rafi's walking through, one of these tent, what do they call them? I don't know. Tent towns, tent villages that they have in lots of parts of California now, because the economy's knackered, and they don't really have much in the way of a social security system. Because that's socialism, which it is, but it's not communism. They'll say, a pinko commie, having everything given, but sometimes you need a leg up, don't you? Anyway, look, she disarms him, knocks him out, nicks his money, because that's Starfleet, isn't it? Anyway, look, Seven's found her. And she shrugs her. He started it. So anyway, they've got to go and get to this building. She's complaining about how did humanity get out of the 21st century, when we're like this, when people are living in tents and they're homeless and no jobs and polluting the atmosphere and blah, 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 blah. Right, I'm going to give you my my theory that anyway, they're going to go to this building. They're wondering where Rios is, but obviously they don't know what's happened to him. I'll tell you my theory later, when we get more into it. Anyway, Agnes, she's still inside the Borg Queen, so to speak. And she's going through... she's describing it as like little rooms where different emotions are, like sadness and anger and all that. Now she's found the humour room, Knock, don't bother. Just full of mirrors for useful deflection. You know, it's... Oh. This basically is... How would you describe it? It's somebody who's been to writing school describing the inside, how your brain works. That's basically it. It's a writing school project. Not project. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, she's calling Picard a pretentious prick. Look, she's in the angry room now. And then she changes. She goes to another one. You know what it reminds me of? It's very Stephen King. It's very... what was that film? That film with them aliens, where he has his rooms in his brain, in his mind. What do they call that film? That with Mr. Grey. Watch out for Mr. Grey. You know that film I mean, with aliens in. It reminds me of that. Anyway, 78%. Look, not far to go. Surely you'd think it'd be enough just to get her up and running a bit. But no, she's still there. Still no sign externally that she's got, millions of Borg nanoprobes running about. Anyway. It looks like she's got a USB port on her neck, doesn't she? As I said, universal plug and play. She must have built-in drivers for Borg, for the Borg systems. Borg Queen, subroutine failing, eradicate, assimilate. Borg Queen's trying to take over. Picard saying, no, you must resist. You have to awaken the Borg Queen, but don't let go of yourself or you'll be assimilated. She's already been assimilated, didn't she? That's how they don't know how Borg nanoprobes work, really. They don't seem to. Yeah, she's now talking as the Borg Queen, calling him Locutus. And then the Borg Queen was talking in Girati's voice. They go, mine, like them seagulls off Finding Nemo. Anyways, pull the plug out. That severs the connection. Don't ask me how it severs the connection, because Girati should be filled with Borg nanoprobes, and the first thing Borg nanoprobes would probably do would create an interplexing beacon or whatever inside, so to create a collective, to communicate with the collective. You think that's what had happened, but no, that's not what happens. Because they don't know how the Borg works. Anyway, they've got into this building, they've gone up to the top, they're not supposed to be there. Security guard comes, asks them what they're doing there. And so, hey, we're a couple of Lebanons that were engaged, and your mate from downstairs, that big fat bloke from downstairs, he said we could do this, and you don't want this fat bloke to be better than you, do you? And he said, oh, Kevin. I said, hey, yeah, we're Lebanons. Yeah, because that's what happens. And he's thinking, I better be diplomatic here, because you can't. I don't want to be cancelled. So he says, all right then, be quick. And then Seven's curious as to why people don't usually like her. Apart from the fact that she's a hot blonde, everybody liked her, even when she was 7 of 9. They were a bit scared of her, but they all liked her, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Rios is being treated by this hot Hispanic doctor. Because I like hot women in Kurtzman Trek. I like hot women in normal Trek, but I'm just saying. They've taken his clothes off him, apparently. They're giving him a wash, and so he's wearing some of her scrubs, which just happen to fit him. And they'll come in handy in a bit. He just happens to be wearing, doctor's scrubs. So a bit later on, he pretends to be a doctor. Anyway, he's got a concussion, and he realises he ain't got his communicator. In a minute, So goes looking for it. I mean, he manages to get up and start walking about then. He can't now, you know, but anyway, he's got a dislocated finger there. That finger that's all doolally, it's dislocated. He must have pumped him full of painkillers, because I'd be going, ah! That's what I'd be doing. But no, he's a tough one, is Christabel, even though he's got a girl's name. And I know, Michael Burnham's got a boy's name, and I'd be saying, but you've got a boy's name, you. I don't care. Anyway, she's going to talk to him. She's going to say, she's saying her name's Teresa, and he says, Cristobal. I think the last episode, first one, I said they were talking Portuguese. I don't know why I said that. It's Spanish, isn't it? Why did I say Portuguese? I don't know. I'm an idiot. Maybe I thought he was Brazilian or something, or Portuguese, or from Lisbon, or I don't know. But no, he's talking. He can talk Spanish. Pardon me. Anyway, she's asked him childhood memory. What's his favourite childhood memory? And he said when his mum was a teacher at the academy, obviously Starfleet Academy, and he'd go in and use the flight simulators, and he broke all the records, and all the admirals were there and captains, and saying how cool he was, and then she pops his finger back in. Yeah, pops his finger back in the joint, and sticks a couple of splints round his pinkies. She try not to bleed on his scrubs. Of course, they're having his clothes washed or something. I don't know. So he realises he hasn't got his communicator. And then he swears. Of course, they do a lot of swearing in Star Trek these days. Right, it's doing this tricorder's beeping. Looks more like a Game Boy, that, doesn't it? He's playing Tetris. Oh, look, there's fires. That looks rubbish. I mean, didn't they have actual footage of the fires that they have in you know, the bush fires that they have? You thought that they'd just used some proper footage. Maybe they couldn't get clearance from news channels and stuff. I don't know, but they just used a crappy CG. Anyway, she detects a blip at MacArthur Park or whatever. I don't know. LA. Never been. Never gonna go. And then she detects Rios's comm badge. It's not far from there. But somebody's tapping it. I said, is it Morse code? I said, no, it's just this snotty little kid pressing it for some reason. Probably because it's making the noise. That makes that chirruping noise, doesn't it? So, there's, oh, crikey. Oh, that's mine, you little shite. Give me it back. And he says, find his keepers. I said, get on. Give me it here, you little sod. That's what I'd have said. Good job it's not Elnor. Not Elnor's comm badge, and Elnor trying to get it back. They're just taking it and slit the kid's throat with it, wouldn't they? Like he did last episode. Because they love murder. And then the kid just talks about logic or something, and then he says, you must be Vulcan. And then he just starts eating these things off a plate that have just happened to be there. Could have been there for any reason. Don't know whose they are, he's just eating them. And he says he'll give this plate to the kid for his badge. And then the doctor comes in and tells him he's been hustled basically by her son. It's her son. There we go. So he gets his comm badge back. No, he don't get his comm badge back. She hangs on to his comm badge as collateral, so he don't run away in her scrubs that just happen to fit him. Oh, Rick and Morty, she talks about finish your homework and don't no Rick and Morty. So Rick and Morty's in the Star Trek universe now, so there you go. That's good for them. Good for you, as Christian Bale might say. Oh, there, he's got his clothes now. We don't put them on because the Rozzers arrive, which means the police, sort of police. I don't know, some unit, immigration police, in INS or whatever they call them. Here we are back at Chateau Picard. Nobody's noticed this spaceship, this huge spaceship, that's crashed, ploughed a huge. Thought I was spitting. Ploughed a huge gouge in the vineyard. Anyway, Queen's come round. Oop. And she says hello, basically. Oop, there we go. She says, I had the strangest dream. You were there, small companion, talking about Agnes. And then he says, you appear to be more lucid. She's... Before they went, she were all over the place, wasn't she? Because there were no collective. But she says she's got clarity of vision here now. I don't know how, but maybe it's because she was temporarily part of a collective of two with Agnes. I mean, technically she should still be, because Agnes has still got all the Borg nanoprobes inside her. Anyway, he's saying they've got to succeed because they lost someone dear. No, the Queen wants the ship. The Queen wants the ship, so she'll help them more. She knows where the Watcher is, and she knows when the timeline changes. She knows the event and the time it happens. Anyway. So, let's put his clothes back on. I thought he kept his scrubs on, actually. I'm wrong. Again. See, Rozzers are here now. Hey, they've got to get everybody out because it's an immigration raid. Oh. Because, the authorities are all evil and bad. And immigrants are good. I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying. The message. Anyway, back to the Borg Queen. So, anyway, he's saying he's not going to negotiate with her. She wants the ship. If she's saying, so you'd sacrifice your future, countless of lives just for this one life. Anyway, he talks to Gerard like he's a bloody kid. Your plan worked. Your plan? I don't know. And Queen's come round. She's been all Borgy again. Idle human threats. She's actually quite good as a Borg Queen, is this? I must admit. She looks the part, anyway. She's saying they won't deactivate her because they need her to get back to the 25th century, don't they? After they fix the timeline. But as I said, I think they'll do it without her. I think she'll try and betray him and they'll be forced to destroy her. They'll probably vaporise her. But I think... what I think's going to happen is... Jurati will become the Borg Queen. Because they keep telling us, basically she's got nothing. She's got nothing to lose. She's no, she's got friends, but she's no, she ain't got a boyfriend. She ain't got no family. She murdered her last boyfriend. She's basically a lost soul, and I think she's going to become the new Borg Queen. They'll get rid of this Borg Queen. She'll become the Borg Queen. She'll take him back, or she'll just vanish, or whatever. Something will happen, and then at the end of the season, we'll find out that the Borg Queen we saw, that the face you couldn't see, that'll be Jurati. I bet it is. I bet you £2.58 and a half pence that it's her. Anyway, she's saying that while she were in rummaging about in the Borg Queen's mind, she stole the information about where the Watcher is and what the event is that they need to stop and when it is. And Borg Queen says, "You've impressed me." So there you go. So she's going to become the Borg Queen, is Jurati. She wants legs, by the way. That was one of the things she asked for. She wants legs. So I think she's going to assimilate Jurati. She's going to somehow get inside her, and Jurati's going to become the Borg Queen. And for a while, she'll be the Borg Queen. They'll get rid of that other body. Somehow they'll vaporise it or whatever. And Jurati will become the Borg Queen for a while. But there'll be an internal struggle, and she'll Jurati will beat her. That's what I think anyway. And she'll become the Borg Queen, but a goody Borg Queen who helps them and gets them back to the 25th century. Anyway, he's here, look, he's pretending to be a doctor. Should have kept his scrubs on. Should have put some of them rubber gloves on to cover up his injured fingers, but no. I suppose he was in a bit of a rush, a bit of a pickle. They don't believe him because they're evil coppers. So they arrest him, because immigrants are bad in the eyes of what's going to become the Trump-verse, Trump Trek. Pardon me. And I think that's what's going to happen. The event is going to be some sort of election. There's going to be some sort of candidate that they've got to stop from winning the presidential election or whatever election. It's going to set it's because it's communicator there. It's going to set Picard saying, "Rios, do you read me?" And then it ends. And there's going to be some sort of election, and the candidate is basically going to be Donald Trump. It's not going to be Donald Trump, but it's going to be a character like Donald Trump. That's what it is, because that's what it's going to be, and that's going to be the event that brings about the Confederation. So we'll leave it there. Where's me mouse pointer? They're into coming next week, so I'll just pause that. I'm watching it on Prime anyway, but so there we go. So that's it. So close that window. There we go. So there you go. That was a bit of a rubbish episode, I thought. Yeah, stuff happened in it, but it were all crap, and it were all, it were all messaging. That's what it was. It were all messaging how humanity is rubbish. How, we've got no hope. How did we get out of the 21st century? Authorities are bad. The little people, they're all cool and great, and immigrants and stuff. I've nothing against immigrants. You should help them. Yeah, great. But don't make them out to all be, these angelic people. Because they're not. Because they're people. And people aren't all good or all bad. Anyway, I'm going on. So it's a bit rubbish, and I think, like I say, it's gonna go on, and I think the catalysing event is some sort of election, and the candidate is basically going to be Donald Trump, in another form. It's not going to be called Donald Trump, but I bet it's something similar. There's going to be this far right candidate that's going to win the election and set about the circumstances that bring about the Confederation and all that jazz. So anyway, I'm not going to mark it out of 10. I don't mark them out of 10 because what's the point? But it was just a rubbish episode. And if it carries on, I don't know how long they're going to be in the 21st century. How many episodes is there? 8 episodes. I can't remember how many they said they were going to be. Is it 8? So we're 3. So we're coming up to halfway. So how long do you reckon they'll be in the 21st century? Another, 3 episodes? Or will they stay in it until, the last episode and then come back and everything's fixed? I don't know. But if it carries on, it's kind of going downhill. First 2 episodes, not too bad. And then there's been a big drop with this episode. I'm expecting the drop to continue next week. But we'll see. But all in all, not a very good episode. I didn't like it. They don't know how Borg nanoprobes work. They don't know how transporters work. They don't know how anything works in Star Trek. Why hasn't the Lacerena been discovered in the vineyard? Don't know. Because when the French go to sleep, they sleep like logs. And the big spaceship crashing is not noticed. Not noticed at all. Because they must think France is some backward country. But it isn't. It's an advanced. It's a nuclear powered country. Anyway, so we'll leave it there. So until next Friday, when episode 4, don't know what it's going to be called, don't care. I'm starting to fall out with this season already. But anyway, so until next week, I'll see thee.